going to be giving you our player ratings for the 1-0 win against Arsenal in the North London derby out in Hong Kong. So let's get straight into that, and let's start off with Vicario. Brian gives him a 6. I give him a 6 as well. Quite unbelievably, he barely had anything to do, Vicario. I mean, I think a couple of moments, a bit of heart and mouth moment playing out the back where he was just kicking the ball out of play a little bit. One save towards the end, I think it was from Max Dowman, which was more of like a routine save. But apart from that, he pretty much had nothing to do, did he?
Yeah, I mean, his distribution again with his long passing or whatever. But like we said when we did Frankfurt, I'd rather him kick it as far as possible and it'd be out of danger rather than playing at the back. I think what he did do well is obviously he looked a lot more commanding because of our defending, coming for corners, coming for crosses. He looked a lot more assured there, especially the crosses. There wasn't that clutter in the box for him to run into or anything. So really nothing for him to do. So it's very hard to give him a mark higher than a 6.
Yeah. Next up is Pedro Porro. Brian gives him a 9. I give him an 8, and he is really he's been outstanding in pre-season so far. And, you know, his crossing and his corners were so dangerous, particularly in the first half. I mean, one nearly went all the way through and ended up hitting the post. I just love seeing his delivery, and I think it's going to be so dangerous, such a dangerous weapon for us this season is Pedro Porro's right foot. And yeah, I felt like he wasn't going forward too much, but his defensive work is the thing that really impressed me yesterday. I mean, there was one moment when Cuti Romero kind of headed it back into the path of Declan Rice, and no problem, Pedro Porro was there to mop it up. And I think he locked down Martinelli throughout the game as well.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Pedro Porro has been the player of pre-season. For me, personally, I think he's been outstanding. And what I loved about him, obviously, we know about his passing, we know about his creativity, we know about what he could do. His set pieces were fantastic yesterday, but you mentioned it, the defending has been the problem where people say, oh, do you know what, maybe he gets caught out, maybe he's too far forward. And it looks like Frank and the team have been working on that and giving him coaching tips on how to become and where he wants him to defend, and he did it brilliantly yesterday. So player of the pre-season for me so far, a great performance. Hopefully he'll be in the captain leadership team when Frank makes it. And long may this continue, because I think it's going to be a big season for him.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. We move on to Cuti Romero with the armband on. 8s all round. Brian gives him an 8. I give him an 8. And yeah, I mean, he was at his aggressive best yesterday. I thought that, look, it didn't come without a few mishaps because there were a few kind of sloppy moments in there from Cuti Romero. But what he did really well, he completely won that physical battle against Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz could get no spare change out of him whatsoever. A few nice moments. He tried one pirouette in the box, which he got fouled for, and he also sold Kai Havertz down the river. It made Kai Havertz completely take out Jed Spence with a little nutmeg, and I thought his playing out the back and his passing into the midfield through the lines I thought was brilliant. So a really good performance from Romero.
It really was, and obviously seeing that partnership with Mickey van der Ven, you know it's a solid one, and when they're both on it together, it's a very, very solid base. And you're right, listen, defenders are going to make the odd slip here and there, and I think we've become so critical, not just to Spurs, they need to have the perfect game, and if one pass goes wrong or whatever, he loves to defend, and he defended superbly. Nothing got past him, and like you said, there was a little bit of showboating and everything, and it was the performance that we kind of love and want to see more of from Romero, and he looks happy. We thought it was going to be like a very, very tetchy situation, but fair play to Romero and a very good performance.
Yeah. We move on to Mickey van der Ven. 8s all round for Mickey, and it was great to see Romero and van der Ven back together. I think the last time we seen it was the Europa League final, so it was good to see them back together. I thought Mickey was rock solid. I couldn't see any faults in Mickey's defending yesterday. No Arsenal player could get past him, no spare change whatsoever. And I felt like, he didn't have to do his marauding runs backwards, but I thought he went about his business quite quietly, quite confidently, but really astutely and assured as well. So I really enjoyed Mickey van der Ven's performance yesterday.
You enjoyed it. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. What I will say with Mickey van der Ven, there's a lot of people were speculating and saying, okay, now he's not going to make those last-ditch runs and those last-minute sprints that everyone loves. We're going to see what kind of defender he is, where he's not going to need to do that constantly. Is he going to be able to do it? And like you said, he did everything he needed to do. Didn't need to make any of those massive sprints to save the day. But what came his way, he dealt with, he mopped up. And I think with this style, we're going to get Mickey van der Ven a lot more minutes on the pitch because he's not having to make all those runs non-stop. So it was good to see Mickey and not have to... I don't think we have to say one thing where it was like, oh, did you see that massive run from Mickey? Did you see that last ditch where it was a solid performance and he did what he did without having to use his pace?
Yeah, Frank will be very good for his hamstrings, that's for sure.
Oh, very good.
There was obviously one moment in the last 15 minutes where Tell puts in a beautiful cross for him, and he probably should have scored. But yeah, from a defensive standpoint, I thought he was brilliant. Let's move on to Jed Spence. Brian gives him an 8. I gave him an 8. I thought it was a sensational performance from Jed Spence. I thought him and Porro were just controlling the flanks, to be honest. And it was a really difficult day for Spence because he had Saka to contend with, where all their play was coming down the right wing. And then when Saka went off, they had Max Dowman, the 15-year-old, and he looked really bright down that side as well. And I thought Jed, particularly with Saka, just dealt with him so well, really aggressive up against him. I thought he was winning his duels for the most part. And I just think he dominated. And I think, look, he's probably emptying his pockets this morning. And he's probably emptying and he goes, oh, Vicario, what are you doing down there?
I will say with this, it reminded me, do you remember when... Jose Mourinho had that bet on with Regulon, where if Mahrez don't get past you once, I'll buy you that £500 ham.
Yeah.
Well, Spencer's come in and had the danger man of Arsenal and pretty much done exactly what Regulon did back then. Saka, who we know is a very, very dangerous player, and we've seen him previously, very recently, destroy us. Like single-handedly be the catalyst to absolutely win North London derbies on his own. Well, yesterday he had Jed Spence to deal with, and there was only one winner, and that was Jed.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to Rodrigo Bentancur. 7s all round for Rodrigo. Look, I thought it was a decent display from him. I thought definitely in the opening stage of the game, first 15, 20 minutes, he had a little personal battle going on with Bukayo Saka, and he was bringing him down a couple of times, making a few fouls, got that yellow card as well. But what I thought he did really well is just kept the ball ticking, moving forward, trying to drive the team forward as well, and just being a real aggressive warrior in the middle of the park for us. Yeah,
do you know what? He grew into the game. He grew into the game. And he just did what he needed to do. I remember games in Europe, like the Eintracht Frankfurt, where his defensive work was incredible. He was up and down everywhere, and he took one for the team with the yellow card. Just hurry up and sign your contract, because a Bentancur on form and purring is an incredible weapon to have, and it was a good performance.
Yeah. Lucas Bergvall up next. Brian gives him a 6. I gave him a 7. He started in the 10 role in this game, and I think that in terms of a creative outlet, I don't think we saw that much from Bergvall yesterday, but this guy just did not stop running. Throughout the whole time he was on the pitch, run. Frank would have loved what we've seen with the work that he did off the ball. I think he was winning the ball back consistently for us, interceptions, duels, and I just think he put a tireless effort in for the team. And look, I would like to see a bit more from a creative outlet from him yesterday, but I do think that he helped us win that midfield battle.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I gave him a 6, not a 7, was, like you said, he started off in the 10. And we've been saying we've been lacking creativity, and it was his role essentially to try and do that. Not his fault, obviously. It's pre-season. He's going to be learning how to play for Frank. But I think what I did love with him, like I said, he didn't stop. What I loved yesterday is the midfield getting back to help the defence. And he, like you said, he was tirelessly running up and down that pitch. The only reason I've marked him down 1 to you was obviously I just wanted to see a bit more creatively. But defensively, he was great.
Yeah. Big Pape Matar Sarr, 9s all round for Big Pape. And Pape, you know, you talk about Pedro Porro being the player of pre-season. I mean, Pape ain't far behind him. 3 goals so far for Pape. Yeah. This one obviously topped the lot, a goal from pretty much the halfway line that had David Raya flapping. And Richarlison did foul Yeah, he did foul Lewis Skelly, Richarlison. So, I mean, maybe in the Premier League that goal would have been ruled out by VAR, but don't take away anything from the strike that Pape did yesterday. I mean, it was pinpoint over the head of Raya, left him flapping, and it was a lovely finish. But it wasn't just the goal that I was impressed with Pape. It was his work rate, it was his tenacity. I thought box-to-box role from a defensive standpoint, driving the team forward as well. I think the Arsenal players must be having a few nightmares of Pape yesterday because they just couldn't handle him. I thought he was running that midfield yesterday. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Pape Matar Sarr. Frank said after the game how impressed he's been with Pape so far, and I'm not surprised because he's been brilliant.
Yeah, like I said, Porro for me, player of the pre-season so far. But I'll tell you what, if there's a most improved and the one player in the whole squad that's grabbing this opportunity by the hands to say I'm first on the team sheet for midfield, then look no further than Pape Matar Sarr. We saw he's got a shot on him. He's scored a couple of goals. Like, he's scored a couple of goals or a few goals underhand. So he's got it in his locker. But now he's showing it consistently. And obviously it was a wonder goal yesterday. The 2 goals against Wickham. First thing I loved was him making that for the first goal. It was simple tapping, but he made the run. He was ahead of all the strikers. He was alert. So Pape Matar Sarr has been very, very impressive. And you know what? People were wondering what was going to do with the midfield. And I was like, maybe Pape might have to be moved on or whatever. But he is really grabbing the ball by the horns and he is thriving under Thomas Frank. And yes, it's pre-season. But I would say right now, if we were starting Burnley tomorrow, predicted lineup, the first midfielder I'd put in the team is Pape Matar Sarr.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because you're thinking with Palhinha coming in now, what is our first choice 3-man midfield? Like, are you saying Palhinha, Pape, and Maddison?
On current form, you'd have to, I think. Or Maddison, we don't know. He's obviously coming back to fitness. So I think come Premier League kickoff time or whatever, that would be the number 10 unless someone comes in. But I think right now, if you base it on form, obviously you can't judge Palhinha, but for what he does, I think Pape Matar Sarr has done enough to deserve that other spot. But that's based on pre-season. But yeah, I think it would be. If Palhinha's here, we're kicking off Burnley tomorrow, I think it would be Palhinha, Pape and Maddison, in my opinion.
Let's move on and let's talk about Mohammed Kudus. 8s all round for Mo, and I thought he was brilliant yesterday. Look, I'd like to see him be more of a goal threat. However, you can just see how much of an impact this guy is going to have for us next season. I thought Lewis Skelly found it really hard to deal with him. He's so strong. He's so physical. Does the dirty work as well in terms of defensive output, always running back for the team, working hard for the team. And when he's backing into you, there's just nothing you can do. You can't get the ball off him. He just backs into you and then he either does the quick pass and move or he'll just spin you. So I love what I'm seeing from Mohammed Kudus so far. Like I said, I want to see some more in terms of goal contribution output and getting him closer to goal. But the work that he does in the middle of the park, just with his physical frame, I think is brilliant, to be honest.
The first half, he was everywhere, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Tracking back, running down the right. He's got power. He's got energy. We know what kind of tricks and everything he's got and the flair in him. But I just want to say, West Ham fans that were saying, he's lazy, he won't track back, he's selfish, well, I haven't seen any of that. Obviously, again, pre-season, you can't take...
Yeah.
But I've been very, very impressed. He seems to have slotted into the team well. And every time he's been on, I've been impressed with him. And long may that continue. Obviously, hopefully, we'll see a lot more of him on Sunday. But I don't know. We've needed that right wing sorted for a while, haven't we? It's been an area that needs fixing. And it looks like we've finally got there and fixed it. And I'm very excited to see what he offers.
When's the last time that we've signed a player in the front line and straight away he's come in and been our best player in the front line? Because you can say, like, Kudus is by far our best player in the front line right now. When's the last time that's actually happened? Because we've always had a Kane, we've always had a Sonny.
Jurgen Klinsmann?
It very well could be, you know.
It could be. I mean, trying to think. I can't think. Honestly, I'm being dead serious. Probably Jurgen Klinsmann.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? It's been a long time. But let's move on to Wilson Odobert. In my opinion, another player that's flourishing in this preseason. Brian gives him a 6. I gave him a 7. I was very impressed with Odobert yesterday. I thought he gave their right-hand side a lot of problems in Ben White. He forced... He didn't force a save, actually. He hit the post where it ricocheted off one of their defenders and kind of span off to the post. But I thought he was a threat down that left-hand side. Not as much of a threat as Kudus, which I've marked him down one. But I think you've seen so far, because everyone's been questioning Odobert, how's he going to fit in with all the talent that we have, all the players that we have at wing? Does he need a loan spell? Are we going to sell him? All this kind of stuff. But I think he's looked definitely our best left winger so far in pre-season, so credit to him. And I think he's really grabbing that spot at this moment in time.
I have to say, out of all the players, this was the hardest one. I couldn't work out. I was really like, do I give him a 7? Do I give him a 6? He was good yesterday. He was good. And what I did like is I've seen a few compilations or clips of him. He just seemed to be a bit freer and have a bit more confidence in himself than he did last season, whether that was because of his injury, whether that was the way the team were and the morale and confidence, whatever. Hit the post. Just I think his final ball and his decision-making just wasn't there. But it was a great shot to get, a nice little place shot to hit the post. He looked good and sharp against Wickham. Yes, it was only Wickham. He is looking sharper. He is looking better. But I just think that decision-making or final ball, especially if he is going to be the left winger and Solanke, it needs to improve and be nearer to Kudus' level. But did enjoy watching him yesterday, and I really struggled whether to give him a 6 or a 7.
And last but not least, the starting 11, Richarlison. Brian gives him a 6. I gave him a 4. I mean, we all saw that moment where the ball comes flying in and the ball kind of attacked him instead of him attacking the ball, and he was about 2 yards out, and it doesn't go in the back of the net. I mean, as a striker, you just got to attack those, and you get any decent touch on it and it pretty much goes in the back of the net. I mean, apart from that, I think he was just running around like a headless chicken a little bit, didn't get too involved in the game, a bit isolated up front. The only thing I remember him doing, apart from the moment that I spoke about, was the shithousery when we scored. So, I mean, that's the best thing about Richarlison, isn't it? Is his shithousery, to be honest.
And there's the 2 marks up that I gave 2 marks for shithousery. Listen, what I do think with Richarlison, obviously he missed that chance. I think, like I said, he does run around, but he always is there. He's always putting pressure on the players, or the opposition. His defensive work, again, at set pieces, tracking back and doing that kind of work, he will always do that. He'll always do that. But there was nothing really to write home about offensively. But I think he does give something. He needs to, obviously it's not enough, but the pressure he puts on the opposition, his defensive work and duties that he does do, and then how can you not give him marks for shithousery? If there's anyone that deserves marks for shithousery, it's that man.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on to the substitutes. We go to Kevin Danso first and foremost. Replace Romero on the half-hour mark. 7's all round for Danso. And yeah, I mean, look, he stepped in for Romero, no problems really. Aggressive display, helped us keep that clean sheet when Arsenal were really building pressure in the last 25 minutes or so. And yeah, I think he just went about his business quite calmly, quite confidently, and really aggressive nature as well.
I'm going to start calling him the magnet, because whenever the ball's in the air, somehow his head's there. He just absolutely loves defending, and aerially, he is a powerhouse. He is incredible in the air, and I really, really enjoy seeing him. I think we've got a bargain in him. I really do. If he can just work on his ball playing and getting the ball out, we have one hell of a centre back in our ranks. And the magnet, as I am going to call him now, aerially, he's just incredible.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And as a backup centre-back, you can't really get much better than Kevin Danso, in my opinion. Absolutely brilliant. Let's move on to Matisse Tel. 6 all round for Tel. Came on in the number 9. What he did do was ran his heart out, to be honest. He never stopped running throughout the time he was on the pitch. But I did feel like he didn't get himself in positions, or maybe he wasn't being fed, but I didn't really notice him in the number 9 when we were trying to hurt Arsenal. But where I did notice him is when he drifted over to the left, because he drifted over to the left, put in a brilliant cross to Mickey van der Ven, and we should be sitting here talking about a brilliant assist, because it was a cross right on the money, and Mickey's got to put it in the back of the net. So he's a left winger, he's not a striker in my opinion, and we either, well, when Solanke comes back in on the weekend, I think we'll see him more on the left-hand side, and he just played there because we just needed bodies in the number 9 position. But I think he could be a really good player for us on the left.
Yeah, I think, like we said, with Frank, I think we will play not hugging the touchline on the left, a little bit more inside, but there's no doubt that cross was a quality cross. There's no doubt. We've said that his delivery the only thing I've been able to see him live on, and I've mentioned it, is his movement when we were at Wolves, which was fantastic. We need to see more from him, but that was a very inviting cross. And if it had fallen to anyone other than Mickey, the biggest man with the worst heading, it probably could have been 2-0. But it was a very, very good cross on the money. And they didn't have a long time to do anything major, did they?
No, not at all. But, I like his... like many of our players, I like his work rate, and I think Frank will really like that about him, and I think Frank can take him up a few levels this season from what he showed last season anyway. All right, let's move on to the last player, which is Brennan Johnson, and we talk about the players who have really impressed in pre-season. I think Brennan Johnson has been really poor throughout pre-season. Brian's given him a 6, I've given him a 5, and he came in on the right wing, and I think he barely touched the ball. I can't remember a thing that he did, and you're looking at him playing against League One opposition so far in pre-season. I think he hasn't done himself any favours. And then again, yesterday, I think he came in and just failed to make an impact, to be honest.
I don't even know why I gave him a 6. I thought I gave him a 5. But so what I want to do is I can solve this. I want to knock him down to a 5 and give that spare point to Odobert, who gets a 7. So now I'm good. Now I'm good. Yeah, he came on, and he's not. I mean, the only thing I remember him doing is getting a yellow card and having a altercation with someone in the penalty area. Yeah, I'm someone that thought that Brennan Johnson would actually thrive under Frank, play off the striker, be more central, be able to affect the games when he was on. But he really hasn't, has he? He really hasn't. But we know what he does. We know what Brennan Johnson does, and if need be, maybe this is the time. And I don't mean this in a bad way to him. A lot of people will say maybe he's an impact sub. Well, now with Kudus, maybe that's exactly what he will be, or coming on late in games, or rotation. But I think Brennan Johnson needs to have a good couple of games and grab the minutes that he's about to get against Newcastle and Bayern Munich, because then it's go time. And at the moment, he's way off the pace.
Well, you talk about an impact sub. That's what he was asked to do yesterday, and he didn't make an impact. So, look, he got 18 goals last season, so we shouldn't be too harsh on him. He had a very good season, scored the winner for us in Bilbao, so he always got that. So I think that when you're looking at our right wing options next season with Kudus and Johnson, I think we're in good hands. I just need to see Brennan Johnson step up, because he's been poor in pre-season so far.
Correct.
Let's talk about the manager, Thomas Frank, our favourite subject. 8 all round for Thomas Frank. And look, I think structurally, he got us set up on point yesterday. We looked so hard to play against. Arsenal could barely lay a glove on us for the most part. And I think that's all down to the way Thomas Frank has set us up. And I think so quickly he's got us tough to beat, in my opinion. I think, look, time will tell if this carries on to the Premier League, because it is just pre-season at the end of the day, but it is a North London derby, and there's never friendly against Arsenal. And to see Arsenal struggling just to lay a glove on us was music to my ears, or should I say? It's not music to my ears, because anyway, music to my ears. I'll just leave it at that.
You go with that? You go with that?
Yeah, I'll go with that. But I think what I do want to see more from a Frank team is attacking intent and attacking patterns of play. I don't think that is there just yet. But what he is doing is making us a real hard team to play against, and I credit him on that massively, because for too often now, for too long, 2 years under Range, we've been a really soft touch, and straight away it looks like we're going to be a really hard team to play against.
Yeah, the only reason he hasn't got a 9 or a 10 from me was exactly what you said: the lack of real spark up top. But how many times in a game have we got in at 1-0 at half time and then come out the second half and we're all nervous, and not one moment of doubt for me, not one moment of doubt. And then when you listen to how he spoke in his post-game snippet afterwards, when he just broke everything down, you can hear what he wants to do. You can see what he's seeing. And if this is the base that he's working off of, we're on a very good structure. And I can't wait. There's going to be a lot of smiling from you and me this season when talking about this man, and I am all for it. Good, great, especially coming off the two lackluster performances on Saturday, and then everything going on. I think the first real test he had, he stood up to it, and you're always going to get a higher mark if you win a North London derby, aren't you?
Absolutely. So first test, passed with flying colours, finally beaten Arsenal for the first time in 3 years. Yes, it's just pre-season, but let's hope it's just a sign of things to come for Thomas Frank. But that is our player ratings. Let us know yours in the comments section below.